Hi, everybody. My name's Richard Yolland. I head up solution engineering at Concordium. My history goes back a bit. Started off in particle physics, then did 21 years of investment banking, across a range of banks, range of different streams within the bank, and it's management consulting. And then I had the dubious pleasure of working for Boris at Copper, as head of for Copper, crypto custodian, back to management consulting, and then about 8 or 9 months ago, I had a call from Boris saying, Rich, they've asked me to be CEO of Concordium. Do you want to work for me again? And here I am. Erasmus?
Hello. My name is Erasmus. I'm the director of product here at Concordium. I come from a decade in the Web3 blockchain ecosystem. I've been a founder and mainly working on the product side all that time. I joined Concordium here, I think a little over a year ago. Yeah, my background is actually in social science. I come from a more humanistic approach to life, but I also combine that with some technical background. So I try to span that gap the best that I can. I have a strong interest in systems design, general product development, and philosophy around especially like identity and both who we are and what we can do. Christopher, would you mind giving us an introduction? And maybe that
Yes.
famous stand-up routine that you warned us about.
I thought you'd make no stand-up jokes.
Sorry, I'm sitting down.
I am a cryptographer here at Concordium. I was in academia for quite some time, and I joined Concordium 3.5 years ago. So I'm in the science team here, helping design the protocol and its security and all that fun stuff.
What was your specialty when you were in academia? What kind of things were you focusing on?
Well, quantum cryptography generally, a lot on security definition, something called composable security. Just whatever I found fun, I kind of did. So now it's great fun developing blockchains.
So if we go post-quantum, you'll be there with the insights and telling us what's up and down, right?
I don't think this is the moment to start talking about quantum crypto, but it's actually the opposite. Quantum crypto is what you do if you have a quantum computer. Post-quantum crypto is what you do when you don't have it, but the bad guy has it. So you should actually ask Daniel about post-quantum crypto. He's the other researcher in the science team.
Oh, great. And Richard, you wanted us to tell us that SQL joke. Are you going to do it, or was that a threat and a promise, or are you going to back out now?
I'll save the SQL joke for the right moment.
Okay, great.
It's requested, but yes, it's still my favorite joke of all time. But guys, so it's just covering what we're going to be discussing today. It's a very, as you may have guessed, hopefully guessed, mainly due to Erasmus, it's a very casual, light-hearted conversation. Main purpose of the event today is just for us to engage with the community, give the community a chance to engage with us. Obviously, across the three of us, you've got me more on the commercial side, you've got Erasmus on the product side, and obviously Chris on the deep and cryptographic side. So, you guys, hopefully, I know some of you I recognize on the chat. Hopefully, you've seen the town hall, so you know the general guidelines of what we're going to be doing regarding stablecoins. So to set the stage and give you an indication of the topic and to do talking points, we're going to be running through a interesting topic. Basically, I'm just going to give you a quick overview of where we're looking commercially and what we're looking at. Then I'm going to consider the stablecoin industry, which you'll recall from what Boris mentioned at the town hall. We're then going to be going a bit deeper into coins on our blockchain, into the PRC2, and then pretty much some pros and cons of smart contracts, and then we're going to be throwing it open for Q&A. A lot of you, we've got 20 or 30 questions already, so thank you to those of you that have submitted questions. We'll go through those answers and then throw open the lines. You guys are more than welcome to come on camera, come on mic, and interact with us directly. So we'll no further ado, effectively, and a lot of this ties in with stuff and comments and questions that have been coming up recently in both Telegram and Discord, related to, as you know, our main focus now is stablecoins. We're going to reasons for that shortly, but stablecoins is 90% of our focus. But whilst that's what we're targeting, due to the specificity of our blockchain, effectively also as part of the continued offering of Concordium, there are other streams. So, you know, you'll all be familiar with Fujitsu and our relationship with Fujitsu, obviously a very large channel partner organization. Someone, Concord on the Discord channel raised Hitachi, so what's happening with Hitachi. And as I mentioned, that's taken a back burner. But a lot of what we are doing in order to promote the blockchain is, obviously, we have people coming and building on our blockchain. We have startups, we have organizations. Some of them we've given grants to, some of them just like our blockchain because we realize that it's there. But effectively, these startups and builders come along, they build on our chain, and some of them end up with very functional, very well developed, very useful products. And in the case like this, when companies, I'm not going to drop any names directly, but the fact is there are several companies, products, you know, they've gone to market with the product, they're selling the product, it's being used across industries across the world. And due to the nature of the relationship we have with channel partners, it's often the case that channel partners, like Fujitsu, for example, who have their, their clients, and they have client demand. So client demand may come in and may say relate to track and trace, or may relate to healthcare, may relate to data vaults. The fact is, when these channel partners come to us saying they have clients that need these products, effectively part of the offering of our blockchain and why we feel, why we feel very good blockchain to come to is that we will promote startups and builders. So what we typically do is we will introduce them obviously to Fujitsu, and then when they're engaged with Fujitsu, obviously in the case, they get access to the marketing, distribution channels, sales channels of organizations. So effectively, it's one of the benefits to coming and building on us and building successful products is that they can get this and obviously in turn promote their business, because we're a non-profit organization. For us, success is people coming along, building on our blockchain, using our blockchain, and the more people that build on it, the more people see the benefit, the easier it is for them to build on it, the more, the greater the success. So effectively, the three streams that said, we look at this, we look at, the builders and the dev houses that build on our blockchain, look at the channel partners who wish to utilize those products built or potentially even augment their offerings. And then obviously there's the stablecoin focus that we're looking at. And if you consider the stablecoin focus, obviously, as you know, some of the functionality we have on our blockchain, some of it we don't, and we're building it. And that was, Peter's the address by Peter Marura in our town hall. That is, it went into a lot of information regarding the roadmap, what is happening with the build. But effectively, from our point of view, commercially, and this also relates to questions later, we are initially targeting stablecoin issuers. So the companies, obviously, big issuers, just and ends up obviously, in a circle. Not, that's not our intention initially, but the fact is, we have people who wish to issue stablecoins due to, our marketing and our sales and our commercial. They realize the benefits of what we can offer, and so we're going with these stablecoin issuers. They in turn will build the stablecoins on our platform, on the blockchain, and then once that is done, once we have a sufficiently large population of stablecoin issuers, this is when we move on to effectively, almost say like secondary users. So it's the payment providers, it's the organizations, it's the stablecoin integration partners, the companies that want to use it, and people are saying, what about supply chain management, what about financial management? All of these are potential use cases. Stablecoins offer a range of benefits. They offer stability in volatile markets, efficient cross-border transactions. Effectively, they're a bridge between the Web 2 world, which is my background, and the Web 3 And also, as you know, from our blockchain, there's programmability, there's innovation, and calling it space, the crypto ecosystem, digital assets are growing. So as they continue to grow, we are seeing a massive uptick in stablecoin demand, number of stablecoins released, and also stablecoin transactions. But I appreciate this call is not about a monologue. It's a fellow musketeer. So Erasmus, what are your views and thoughts on stablecoin industry and their use?
So I think it's it's definitely on the rise. I think we see it internationally, globally. More and more sort of the traditional payment providers are also looking into it. I mean, all the key sort of indicators are there. In particular, I'm a big fan of Patrick Collison, who was one of the co-founders of Stripe. I think there's always a lot of sensible stuff happening there, and of course they acquired Bridge, which is kind of like an API for stablecoins. They acquired that for $1 billion, and Stripe, of course, being an absolute behemoth in the payments industry. So I see it both on that sort of retail side. I see a lot of activity there, a lot of interest, a lot of ironing out of the details, trying to figure out where to go. But also just in general, around from the government side, we see all the CBDCs, that kind of interest. Just across the board, a lot of different attempts and ways in. And I have this little pet theory of mine. Now, you just said this is not about monologues, but I'm always a big fan of a captive audience. I have this little theory that the crypto industry, because it's about trust, about money, which is a type of trust, right? It really takes a few things to come together. So what we saw in AI was basically three things that came together. We saw the internet provided the data that was needed to train the models. We had a lot of innovations going on in the systems, like the algorithms that actually could be used to create these systems. And then you also had sufficiently advances in the compute, right, in the actual physical infrastructure that would execute these things. Those three had to advance to a certain level before they could really kick off, and a product could be launched that really made sense and start giving you a totally new benefit. And I think you can actually draw an analogy to what's happening in the crypto industry as a whole, or the decentralized trust space, you might want to call it, where you have to see like several things come together because money is a social technology. So on one hand, you have to have the regulation, the rules in place, right? Because it's about society, it's about social interaction. So you need to have some rules. You also need to have sufficient adoption. Simply just a law of social interactions is like you need to have enough people believing in something or doing something before it will reach that tipping point. And then there's the final aspect. There's the actual technology also needs to have some developments. Since I come at it from the humanist side, right? I especially am thinking around things like the secret key management experience is something that needs to be some innovations around. But there's also things about, scale, security, there's those kind of things where we need to see sufficient advances. We here at Concordium, of course, doing our best on all those three, but it's not just going to be one project solving all of these for sure. Now, I say all this because that ties into where the stablecoins are going, because, of course, they are an expression. They're one sort of corner and probably one cornerstone in the whole crypto ecosystem as a whole. So, of course, we see some political developments in the US where there's a lot more crypto-friendly governance coming up for better or worse, one might say. But the cat is definitely out of the bag, and there's enough people invested in it and interested in it, and the whole ecosystem just continues to plow on. So I think there's a big future for stablecoins. One thing I didn't mention, and I promise this will be the last thing that I'll say, is that sorry, so you were breaking, but that was not to me. I think that was for Richard. That was just a little chat comment. I think I'm still audible. If not, then hopefully somebody will wave at me. That's a thumbs up. Great. So I think, of course, there's one other category here that we should not forget about. Remittance as a whole topic, right? The ability to de-risk some countries where you have more volatile and inflationary currencies, and creating more robust systems in those instances is also a very attractive topic, and one that becomes more and more relevant. So in short, I think the topic, the theme of cryptocurrency as a whole, I think is advancing as it kind of is expected with new technologies, especially new social technologies like this. I also think that the use cases are there, for example, remittance, or actually the retail use case. And I think there's enough interest from the government sides, both in the Europe and in the US, and I mean, even in other jurisdictions as well. There's enough interest to actually make this happen that I see it definitely a bright future in this direction. So that was a very short, long answer, Christopher. I'm almost scared to ask you if you also have something to add.
I did, but now I'm dying to hear if Richard's microphone works. I think I'll just skip my turn and I'll go straight to Richard.
Is it working better now? Is it working better?
Awesome.
Way better, yeah.
So much better.
No, I don't.
It
I don't
didn't
have a
give
long.
me the option.
I don't have a long monologue at this point. I'll talk more when it gets more technical. I'll leave the monologues to Richard and Erasmus.
Do you want to do a stand-up joke, or shall I say?
No, you go ahead with the stand-up jokes. Mine fall flat the whole time.
Okay, well, the stand-up jokes, my favorite stand-up joke is coming a bit later. But guys, looking at what we do, obviously, mentioned commercial. You know, as you guys know, we are going to be, providing the community with additional information, deep dives, as the year progresses. Not all of the events have been revealed yet, but stay tuned to this space, and it will happen. But probably Erasmus and Chris, the topic of interest for everyone on this call is the different kinds of coins we're going to have on the blockchain, on the Concordium blockchain, different kinds of coins, and what the implications are related to them. Erasmus, do you guys want to say something about that?
If you mean the different sort of levels of coins, I mean, we'll always have our native coin, which will be CCD, and that's the native coin. Transactions are paid in that. And now we're adding, which Pete explained in his town hall some month ago, we're adding what we're calling PLT, protocol level tokens. So that'll be new tokens added on the protocol level. And then, we'll still have tokens in smart contracts, the so-called SIS2 tokens, you can think of as a level higher. So we kind of have these sort of three levels of tokens.
I think an important point for the other people in the call is, the PLT is not a token like the CC. It's a description of a token. So as we have stablecoin issuers, it's a type. As we have stablecoin issuers coming and issuing their stablecoins on our platform, each of them will be a PLT, but it's going to be a stablecoin, which is a protocol level token on our blockchain. So that's an important distinction. And obviously, we feel very much sets us apart from the L2 stablecoins. Erasmus, you look like you want to say something.
I always look like I'm going to say something, but that's just my face.
You usually do.
I have a resting talk face. That's a syndrome. So yeah, just to be clear, right? So we're going to have the CCD is going to be there. It's going to be it is the sort of the native token of the network. That's going to be there. That's always going to be there. Then we have already we had in the past these CIS2 tokens, which are sort of the smart contract based, very flexible, right? You can go in and define exactly the characteristics that you want around that token, and you'll execute that at the quote unquote smart contract layer. And then these protocol level tokens will introduce basically a third type, right? Where you will be able to define certain parameters, but it will not allow you to do anything that you could do if you were writing it as a CIS2 token. And some of the sort of first principle decisions or ideas behind that is placing it at that level means it's essentially more efficient, right? So you're not going to have to run through the smart contract execution, which just again from a first principle point of view would be more expensive, more computationally expensive. Like you have to go through more layers of abstraction, and by placing it at the protocol level, you can do it cheaper, right? And that also means cheaper transaction fees and essentially more efficient execution. Another thing is that the smart contracts, they have a tendency, of course, that's the beauty of allowing everybody to write everything all the time. It also introduces some perceived risk in the industry. So they also, because they can be written by anyone, and of course they can be audited, and you can do a lot of work around it, but they also are perceived to be more volatile, right? It's not. We've seen many examples of these being compromised in various ways, and there's a lot of incentives for bad actors to try to compromise them. And by essentially putting these PLTs at the protocol level, we will have a system where also simply just by restraining what somebody can do when they set it up, there's also less room for error doing it. So it's a bit more of a limited feature set, but it's also in that way it's going to be more secure and robust. So those were some of the initial thoughts behind the product design, and from there we went and scoped a plan for the rollout and for some of the potential avenues and where we're going to take it. So yeah, in short, those three levels. We had the CCD token as the native. We had this protocol level token as some layer above that, and then we will still have the CIS2 tokens, and they will still be open for all. And those who are interested in launching the tokens as smart contracts can do that.
Cool. Thanks for that, Erasmus and Chris. As I'm being pinged here on the side, so been asked to go over to some questions. So my suggestion is, as I mentioned earlier, first of all, we're going to look address some questions that you guys have sent in. So thank you very much for that. So we'll go through some of those, and then after that, we will, throw the floor open. Any new questions you want to, discuss anything, ask anyone personal questions, anything like that, please feel free to go. So, Chris, do you want to start off? One of the questions was, how does CCD's zero knowledge proof stand out from fellow college blockchains? Why are we better, and why does it matter to do this at the L1?
I'll take that one. So there are many different kind of proofs we can use to prove things in zero knowledge. People talk a lot about snarks and things like that in blockchains, which are extremely powerful proofs. You can prove lots of stuff in it, but they are extremely heavy on the prover side. It takes a lot of time to generate a proof. A cell phone can't do it. Other protocols for zero knowledge proofs are super simple, and it's super efficient generating a proof, but you can only prove very few things, very restricted things. So when you're choosing which type of proof you're doing, it's important to consider what you're trying to prove and who's going to be using it on what device. So for our identity proofs, in the wallet to prove stuff about your identity, we use a whole bunch of very simple proofs, which are very efficient to generate, very efficient to verify, proofs which are very compact, so don't need a lot of bandwidth to send them over. And they are sufficient for proving pretty much everything we want about an identity. Is my age above something? Is my country in this set, or is it not in this set, or that kind of stuff? So we have super efficient proofs, and they're directly integrated in the wallet. The wallet will generate this proof because the wallet holds your identity, and then the wallet can generate the proof and then you'll sign it from the wallet if you need it, if you have a use case that needs it. It really helps having the identity layer on the layer 1, because that's what our wallet does. Our wallet integrates in the layer 1. We can have wallets integrating with smart contracts a little bit. We do have some SIS2 tokens in the smart contract, but you very often have to go and add SIS2 tokens manually. You have to find out what the index is. It's rather messy for a wallet to interact with smart contracts. Can be done, but it's more complicated. So having our ID on the layer 1 just makes the whole thing simpler, smoother, and it's just seamlessly integrated, the whole thing.
Okay, thanks, Chris. Whilst you have the stage, obviously, and the topic is zero knowledge proofs, how do they relate to programmable money? So protocol level tokens. Can you, for example, give it a use case that partners are looking to, whenever we get a proper stable coin on chain?
Right. So the programmable money, at least as far as we envision it right now, doesn't actually use zero knowledge proofs. We're looking at programmable locks, who can lock it, who can unlock it, and that kind of stuff. And that actually doesn't directly involve zero knowledge proofs. So you can imagine that maybe down the line we can add more features which might involve zero knowledge proofs. So they don't come directly in the programmable money, but maybe in who can hold the tokens to start with? A lot of the stable coins that are interested in joining our chain, they have to follow regulation. They cannot allow people in certain countries to have access to tokens or things like that. So you might need to do a zero knowledge proof first, just to be able to hold your token, to be able to hold the stable coin. And once you're allowed to have it, then you can use it with all this programmable money. Just going over my notes to make sure. Yeah. That was it.
Okay, but I mean, in relation to that, as a private person using the blockchain, using stablecoins, does Concordium currently or intend to offer, proof of, what zero knowledge proofs have been provided to, which companies, and do you have the ability to adjust that?
Okay, so currently, so our wallets generate the proofs. They do not, as far as I know, have a log of all the proofs we've ever generated. I guess that could be a nice feature to add, but it's not one that I've heard people considering so far. And about adjusting proofs, so when you generate a proof, it's kind of valid at the moment when you generate it. For example, if I prove that I'm, I don't know, under 25 because I want to access some kind of discount for young people, or a train ticket only available for young people, the proof is correct when I prove it. Tomorrow I might have a different age. It might not be valid tomorrow. So proof is really only valid the moment you generate it, and we might actually want to add a timestamp in the proof so that you cannot reuse it at a later point or something like that. It depends a lot on many things we can change when we generate proofs. So we don't go and edit proofs later. You can't adjust them. You prove something which is true now, and then later on you might need to prove it again or prove something new.
Fantastic, thanks. Oh, Chris, I didn't actually know you're under 25, so you learn something.
I'm surprised as well.
So nice, well done, Chris. You hide it. You good. But I know from outside what we're talking about logging, obviously not logged on the blockchain, but the fact is, I know from some of the other work we're doing with apps, if you have an app which basically you've got an issuer app which provides zero knowledge proof. Let's say you are a shopping, let's say like in the UK, Sainsbury's shop, you're a member of their loyalty scheme, and you have an application which proves that, and there's some promotion going on that say at the gym, if you go to the gym and you prove you're a member of the loyalty scheme, you will get free entrance to the gym. So on your side as the holder, you've got the wallet and effectively to prove that the zero knowledge proof, you are a member of the loyalty scheme. On the side of the gym would be a verifier, so you could present your zero knowledge proof to it, but this is all recorded in the app. I mean, effectively it's it can be a Web 2 app using Web 3 functionality, but any of the logging and the recording of this would be done at the app or the product level, wouldn't be done at the blockchain level. Just adding that question off. So a question for Erasmus. So how do the CCD layer 1 benefit institutions, private people? I'm looking here particularly banks, government, large corporates. What use cases can you talk about in that regard?
So taking the big picture view, I think we're at a stage on the internet where we are all aware that we probably need more identity online. We need it in different contexts. Anti-money laundering to sort of protect us better, going as more and more money services and financial services, they become more and more digitalized. We also need it, to combat general misbehavior and bad things, but at the same time, humbly, as an internet user myself, I also just ask that we don't just trample all over our privacy rights. I don't want to expose everything to everybody all the time. So there's that balance, right? You want the best for protection, right? You want to make sure you're dealing with the right people at the right time. And at the same time, you don't want all your data to just drain and to leak into instances where you did not give explicit permission for it to be used. So it's a balance. It really is a balance. There is no easy answer to that. So zero knowledge proofs, they play a key role in that. And the suite of tools that we have built at Concordium also being explored for different implementations. In the financial sector and with banks, as I mentioned, anti-money laundering compliance is the big one there. We have been researching and discussing with various partners around portable privacy preserving KYC and AML tooling. So those would be ways of, for example, when you open a bank account, for example, you know the famous hold up your passport, take a photo, what's your address, your latest paycheck, those kind of things. And we have been exploring various versions of simply doing that with one institution and then being allowed to use that across multiple different institutions. This is the Holy Grail is going to be good for the users, it's going to be good for the institutions. But again, it's not just the technology questions, there's also a little bit of a psychological, cultural thing where everybody needs to understand what it is that people need to understand what zero knowledge means, what kind of things can it do, what can it not do, and sort of getting used to a very novel technology. And this is where the governments and the regulatory bodies will also play a big part. When they start adopting these and accepting these and understanding the technology, it will be much easier for the banks who have to play nice with the regulators. Otherwise, somebody's going to go to prison. It will be much easier for them to adopt them.
Well,
And
thank
of
you,
course, sorry, I just will quickly run through the other ones.
Keep going. You're on a roll, so please keep going.
We're so gonna run over that 1 hour slot. I'm sorry to everybody in the audience. That's how it goes when you bring us three together.
Yes.
So, of course, when the stablecoins they start rolling out, and they'll be like the Lego bricks of programmable money, right? You can use them in many different contexts. They're very flexible, but of course, you also need a flexible compliance feature to sort of go along with that. So, there's very natural that you start looking into zero knowledge proof for that, and that's also something that we're looking at a lot. Like Chris just mentioned, for the stablecoin issuers, for example, allowing them to do geofencing or extracting other kind of data in a privacy preserving way from their stablecoin holders. Now, in terms of government, right, there's a ton of applications that governments could do, especially when we start talking about international bodies. Because, for example, in Denmark, we have a strong identity solution, but that doesn't really transfer well if you go outside the Eurozone, for example. So especially when you start looking at international systems that need something. And there's a bunch of cool things you can do with zero knowledge proof. You can, for example, do like one person, one something. That means you want to show that you're a unique individual, like something somehow related to the Sybil resistance, right? But this idea that you can prove that you're actually unique in a certain context, and that's good for e-voting or surveying people and all these kind of cool stuff that you actually want to do if you're a government, and you want to do it in a way that you again are not taking away data from people that they don't want to give. Then there's also cool stuff for the cross-border industries, like the maritime industry, right? There's a lot of professional certifications, which again are very legitimate, right? You want to make sure that you deal with people who actually know what they're doing. So you ask them to do some kind of course or get a certification. And in the maritime industry, of course, you have ships that sail across the world all the time, and you have a lot of bodies trying to do that. And we're actually in talks with a project who's working around that. Trying to bring in zero knowledge proof on identity suite that we have here at Concordium into the maritime industry for certifications. And then the final thing, of course, for large corporations, the zero, like we just mentioned, zero knowledge proofs are great for proving like statements about yourself, certain attributes, especially age. And I do think that has a important role to play in the vice industry. By vice, I mean alcohol, adult, online adult, and of course social media, those kind of things, where you really want to make sure that you're dealing with an audience over a certain age. And again, you don't want to just take the data from people. You want to do it just in a zero knowledge proof. You can actually rest assured that you are dealing with somebody in the appropriate age, and you have not really asked for their birth date. Right, that's a very different dynamic there. So I think that was as short as I could get it down. I'm trying really hard.
Okay, you let me know how that works for you.
That's fine. For every extra minute you speak, I'll just speak a minute less. We'll finish on time.
That's not
and
fair.
Chris was looking forward to saying a lot as well. So
I'm going to read the questions. What kind of collabs are in development but not yet public? That's for you, Richard.
Okay, thank you, Chris. So one of the things I remember from my investment banking days is something called MNPI, Material Non-Public Information. So much as I would like to tell people things because I'm excited and all these things happening, we're doing lots of stuff and every day is smash and busy. Unfortunately, I cannot give you the details. All I can say is there are lots. There are lots, and you know, some of them you've seen. Well, you've seen some of them. Obviously, you've seen the public ones like the Enigina announcement and stuff. But it's just a case of, and this is over to marketing. There are reasons for the sequencing and the impact. Everything is being done right time as part of a feed and a cycle, and so everything leverages on top of each other. Ultimately, as we know, all for the benefit of Concordium and the price and the future of the company and stuff. So I cannot tell you anything yet, but as soon as we can and as soon as is the right time, we will definitely tell you.
Richard, that was the longest way of saying I can't tell you until they're public.
But I want to explain to it as opposed to just saying no. It's, you know, and Erasmus, that's pot calling the kettle black in terms of a short answer. Practice what you preach. But
the most fun thing about that question.
Use it, don't use it. Sorry, Chris.
No. Please go ahead. I'm not relevant.
No, I was finished. I was just.
So the most fun thing about that question is the moment you answer. If you answer truthfully, your answer is already wrong because the moment you answer is public. So it's not a.
The names are not public.
Here it comes again with the technical zero knowledge. how much was actually leaked in that?
Any potential partnerships with banks, payment providers like Visa, MasterCard, or SWIFT, or what kind of partners are you looking for this to kick this off?
As mentioned, potential partnerships cannot be disclosed. There you go, Rastus. That's my answer. Full stop. End of that bit. But partners, as you've mentioned, channel partners like Fujitsu and stuff, there will be other things coming. So it's a case of watch this space. But at the moment, nothing I can disclose regarding potential partnerships.
But what kind of focus do you have initially? What are you looking at initially? Like what direction? Where are you starting?
Okay, so for those of you that missed my initial comments, we're initially focusing on stablecoin issuers, and then we're going on to stablecoin integration partners. And these cover things like financial institutions, cover things like supply chain management. Also, as you can appreciate, for example, from stuff coming from channel partners like Fujitsu, these are guys connected to every single kind of industry and organization in the world. So they bring, we have conversations with government agencies, municipal bodies, healthcare, supply chain management, ESG, you name it. We pretty much every single industry you can touch comes across our plate. Part of our past, and Erasmus, this topic warm to your heart, we've had a lack of focus. And previously it was Concordium that was working on that lack of focus, and they were actively managing a range of topics. Nowadays, as I've mentioned, our approach is the startups and the builders will come and will build on us, and we end up with a range of different products, very advanced MVP/production products across a range of industries with range of functionality that can be deployed. So that is effectively the sky's the limit. But obviously, regarding stablecoins, it's initially issuers and then it's payment providers and channels.
I just want to echo what you just said. I think definitely one of the key traits of the new leadership, as they started here. What is it? 4 months ago? When did Boris arrive? Yeah. I think it's something like that.
Boris arrived beginning of September, but Mike and them arrived. Mike and Pete and Verona arrived November-ish.
Yeah, I think if there's one sort of key defining feature of what's going on with that leadership is the ability to focus incredibly stringent on a few topics instead of many. And just from the time that I've been working on this great project, there has been a little bit of a tendency to spread ourselves too thin and focus on too many things at the same time. And it's definitely a new day on that front. And this is also why we will probably going forward also say no to a few things, but also say a big yes to other things. Of course, with aligning with the strategy that we have. But Richard, is it maybe possible in some way to give some kind of heuristic timeline of when can we expect some news? Is there anything you can say on that front, or is it still like is it still a little bit up in the air, or is there something concrete?
Marketing would probably kill me for that if I revealed something. I
Okay.
can claim that because
And they are listening. They are listening, Richard.
I know they are listening. Well, they're rangers, so I'm on strong pain meds, not pain meds at the moment, so I can always blame it on the medication. But guys, the news will come out as soon as we can, as soon as it makes sense.
Okay.
You know, there's a reason we're not just hitting the markets, and obviously lots of factors, not just the announcements, but obviously us and the blockchain and the world and the organization environment being able to support the announcements and the news and the effects of it.
Okay.
And these are things, you know, people in the community have been pinging me back about, you know, exchanges, rails, on ramps, distribution, accessibility. So all of these are factors in the considerations of when we release news and what we release.
Okay.
Questions popped up some questions popped up in the chat. I don't know if you want to take them or we keep them for the end. Someone just
it's up to you, Chris. You are the quiz master, Chris. So as and when.
Great. These haven't been prepared, so I'm going to put you on the spot there. So what's the plan for making Euro-E Concordium stablecoin available in all the blockchain?
So I'm going to assume that that's going to mean bridging into different ecosystems. So I'm going to take the question to mean just that. Right now, we're of course keenly aware that there's a big DeFi ecosystem out there. We're also keenly aware that the Concordium in the past has not been very good at interoperability across there. We have had some bridges, but we have not seen a lot of traction and volumes on them. And this comes back to the thing I was saying before. We do now have a leadership and a spirit of focusing very hard on fewer topics. And right now, the first foci, is that focuses or foci? The English natives. Christopher?
Foci. The official word is foci. Plural.
Octopuses, octopi? Oh, doesn't matter. Foci. They will all center around the stablecoin use case. And especially at the PLT, like the protocol level tokens. And that means that right now we will mainly be supporting projects who might want to be interested in building this and try to integrate with the other ecosystems, Aave, Compound, Uniswap, so on. But we will hand that over to the community mainly and see if there's projects that we want to support in that direction. There will have to be, of course, a stablecoin element to those kind of projects, but it's not something that we take as a project focus at the moment. That of course might change over time if we see a big need for it. But the first instance is really the stablecoin at the protocol level and finding out the applications for them.
Okay, I have no idea if that was the way the comment was meant. So, Joseph, if we didn't get your question right, please tell us in the chat.
But be prepared for another long answer from Erasmus if you do. Out there.
Yes, exactly. There was a question of saying that the wallet currently shows the CCD to euro rates. Could we show the USD rate? But I'm kind of scared to ask the question because it's going to take 10 minutes to say the yes or no.
I can say yes. Yes, we are looking at that, considering that. Watch this. Stop.
Okay, let's go back to the questions which came ahead of time. I see a huge opportunity in stablecoins to be used for automated payments in supply chains and invoice settlements. Is this something Concordium is also looking into?
Yes, as mentioned, it's the second phase after the stablecoin issues. This is when we go to the integration partners, but everything's on the table at the moment.
I know this is still early, but which industries are showing the most interest in Concordium and the use of protocol stablecoins?
As mentioned, our focus at the moment is on the issuers. So we're looking at people issuing. The stablecoin integration partners or a second phase. Largely speaking, it would be the stablecoin issuers themselves which will be engaging with those integration partners. We'll provide advice and help related to it, or in the case, say, of the Fidgets and the channel partners, we'll engage with them directly. But at the moment, we haven't got there yet. So to be seen.
Is Concordium working with banks on digital currencies?
Once again, that would be a phase 2. But I would like to think we will in the future, but we decided.
And one more for you, Richard. What is the status of the RWA tokenization framework that was implemented some time ago? Is any project using it? Oh wait, I don't wait for you. No one answered that one.
No, it's that is.
So for you.
But no, it's a good question. And I've got to try and think of a diplomatic response to it.
Yeah, because we have notes and
Take your
Richard's
time.
name's next to that question, and the field of the answer is blank. So I'm like,
it's not, that's not. Yeah, no, it's So when I joined, and as we've discussed, everyone was doing it. I mean, Chris, you and Erasmus were in that workshop that we had after 3 weeks in Copenhagen. RWA tokenization was always thrown around. It was always put out there, but we very much felt it wasn't our core value add. We felt we were a good chain to use for RWA tokenization, but that we shouldn't try competing with companies like Tokeny and Bitbond and stuff because they're just that much more accelerated. So our current model regarding RWA tokenization was typically on the builder side. So if startups want to use us for tokenization, we feel that our blockchain can create very good tokens for RWA, obviously with all the features and stuff we've been discussing. But at the moment, there is a bit of a gap, shall I say, regarding companies, startups coming on board to do it. We had one or two. I said, being diplomatic. So let's just say we welcome people coming to board on us for the purposes of RWA tokenization. At the moment, not a strategic focus. Erasmus, you look like you want to say something for a change.
That's what I said. I have resting talk face. What can I do?
Mm-hmm. Say something.
Guys, listen, we still have like 15 questions and we have like 10 minutes when we're really not hitting the market.
Hey, I've been
Come on,
giving the
chop,
short
chop.
answers. I've been giving the short answers.
I've been trying. I'm getting better at this. Come on, let's do
So
the next one.
Next one is a long question, so I'll get to speak for a little bit here.
Yeah.
Circle cross-chain CCTP version 2 hooks feature enhances composability for smart contracts. This means developers can automate post-transfer actions on the chain receiving the USDC transfer. How does Concordium see this, and how can Concordium play a role also in these cases? Thank you to the person who asked the question, because they also sent us a link to an article, so we actually knew what they were talking about, because I had no idea.
Yeah, I think that was
Brilliant.
Oxford that sent that. So thank you, Oxford, for doing that.
Thank you, Oxford. So the cross-chain transfer protocol, of course, is super interesting. I mean, Circle as a whole, of course, is very attractive and very interesting. And especially for their use case, right? It makes a lot of sense that you when you have Circle doing sort of the cross-chain token management, right? It makes a lot of sense for them to also develop complex programmability for the people using it, for example, via these hooks. We certainly want to replicate something like that for the protocol level tokens, right? They should also have sophisticated hooks that can be used for their, however we see them sort of rolling out and which use cases we deem the most viable or where we see the most interest, for sure. But again, as there's not a lot of interoperability right now, it might not be like a one-to-one, just taking the cross-chain transfer protocol way of doing things and then applying it to interoperability kind of, or a cross-chain situation. But there might be something natively on the network where we could look into this and see if we could exploit some of the same features. And maybe even when we start talking about real world payment situations, there might be some lessons to be learned there. So yes, potentially something that we can look at, and I will cut myself off there. That's pretty good. I think
Okay,
I
right.
Yes.
clocked in pretty
Who
decent.
who are you? And what have you done with Erasmus?
I ate him.
Mhm.
And then
Okay.
the next question is about token. Sorry, does somebody else want to throw the ball up and then I'll knock it out the park?
Okay,
I mean,
what?
you're supposed to
Let's
answer, so
Christoph. Yes.
yeah. I
Christoph is the quizmaster. Just let him do his stuff and
Okay.
Thank you, Richard. Tokens at the
Amazing.
protocol level, would that be exclusive for stablecoins?
That is the intention for now, for sure. And I don't. I mean, we want to build like that backbone infrastructure there, and it's going to be based around stablecoins. I mean, he's getting better and better, I would say.
I just
Concordium
found out I
protocol.
can mute Erasmus. Apologies.
Concordium protocol stablecoins can enable fast and low-cost cross-border payments. What types of products will be required from Concordium?
Who's that for?
That's you, Richard. You're supposed to be looking at the notes at the same time.
Okay. I mean, the products we have, we're blockchain. We are the stablecoin issuers are coming along. They're going to come along and build on our platform. Obviously, we are, as you know, technology team is building in the functionality for the locks and the scheduling and all those features for the protocol level tokens. Apart from that, from our side, stablecoin issuers and the integration partners, those are going to be the people who are building the functionality in the products. Our side of the basic blockchain will be things like dev tooling, APIs, SDKs, oracles. That's what we provide. We at the moment don't have any intention of building end state, end-to-end products for it. At least not as far as I'm aware.
Sounds about right.
What protocol level tokens can we expect? Will they automatically appear in our wallet?
So it's too early to say exactly which PLTs will come, which stablecoins will come, and which, we say that it's mainly going to be, it's only going to be stablecoins in the foreseeable future. Again, watch the space, and more news will come out. And yes, of course, they will come out, be exposed in the wallets in a reasonable way. The wallet team is actually at the moment designing the user experience on how they're going to be integrated, and I think it's going to look pretty sweet, to be honest. And that sort of leads me into I'm gonna see if I can self-serve here. So being asked like when we can expect the first stablecoins to go live on Concordium. And the target date is June. That's very ambitious, but we like being ambitious. And we are, and I cannot say too much in detail around this, but we are finding a way of getting the developers and builders very early access to what we want to call like a canary testnet. So it's going to be like a testnet version where we're going to deploy early, and things will break, and it's going to be a bit chaotic, like a chaos net. But basically, we're going to send out those invitations to the developer communities, and they can come in and. Sorry, that's some that just came up there. That's that wasn't intentional.
It's very negative.
Basically, we
It's
got
a very negative vibe.
Yeah, I see what happens now. Oh yeah, there we go. It's basically going to be a way of involving the community much earlier as we have the features ready and people can try it out for themselves. And definitely expect some announcements around that. I would say early next month. I think the first announcements will come around that. So that's where you can try out the technology. Then the other question would be around getting the PLTs on the mainnet, of course.
And also further to what Erasmus has said, whilst we're building the blockchain, we're building it for companies to use it. It's not our requirements. We're not thinking we know everything. We very much, the commercial team, product team are engaging with the clients and the stablecoin issuers we're speaking to their requirements, because they know what they think they need to set them a league above. By them setting themselves a league above, it will be us above as well. So we're very much working and trying to create a blockchain that's for the people, by the people, effectively.
Exactly, and getting people in early is an absolute key part of that, and that kind of feedback and just getting your hands dirty. It's also going to be an internal tool, right? We're going to release stuff more regularly, like not regularly, but faster and earlier on this chaos net, and then we can start testing out and seeing how it works in reality. I think it's very exciting. It's going to be fun. Next question is about the next steps to drive adoption. But Alvaro, as the master of ceremony, we have 2 minutes left. What do we do now?
If you all have time to get at least the questions that were submitted, you can go ahead and answer them. But if not, then just let me know.
I have a little bit of an issue in the sense that I have a meeting obligation coming up in 2 minutes that I'm having a hard time canceling. So I'm afraid. So as your humble servant, I'm out here trying to build the stuff that we're talking about, and I'm afraid I will have to go back into doing that now.
That's
so
perfect.
maybe
So
I will
what
drop
we can
now.
do,
But if you two have time, maybe you can stay and take the rest of them. Would that be okay?
Yes, absolutely. We'll just read your notes out loud and hope you didn't make too many English mistakes in them. Otherwise, it'll be very embarrassing.
But that you can assume that I will have them.
That you write less than you meant with love.
So, well, I'll just take these two. I have 1 minute. We'll rush through two. So the next steps to drive adoption. Well, it's, as I mentioned, it's going to be very much centered around stablecoins and that approach. And we will actually, this is something I forgot to mention, but we are very intensely looking into how we can communicate the roadmap in a better way. I understand that it's been a little opaque what we've been doing and where we want to focus. And I think over the now I'm going on record saying something here, but I think over the next 3-4 weeks we should have something that's a bit more solid communicated to the public, and you'll sort of get a better feel for what we're doing in the different aspects in which we're working. So hopefully, but we can get to that. We'll definitely communicate as soon as we have something ready. So then there's a question around, besides security, any other advantages of integrating stablecoins directly into the protocol instead of smart contracts? As I mentioned earlier, yes, there's some efficiency gains. That's also just the trust that comes from it. It's sort of it's a bit more robust. There's also less things to think about as you come in and you're actually issuing your token. And it also can tie in closer to some of the governance processes on the chain. Yeah. Thank you so much, everybody. It's been a great pleasure. Do continue sending your questions, and we will try our best to answer them.
Thank you for your time, Erasmus.
Thank you, Erasmus.
Thank you so much, Alvaro. Thanks.
Oh, Richard, will you pick up the next question?
Oh, what is it?
Yeah, exactly what I was wondering. So I was trying to track down a question which got deleted.
Oh, right. Okay, so guys, I think one of the things, effectively look appreciating where we are for time, a few questions came through related to compliance and regs, saying, we are Concordium's regulatory compliance, are we compliant, are we regs? How do we plan to ensure compliance with regs like MiCA and KYC and AML? One thing that needs to be brought in mind regarding this is we are the blockchain. We provide the infrastructure for compliance, but ultimately the compliance and the adherence to the regs, that is done by the companies who use our blockchain for their business purposes. So, for example, if you consider the fact identity verification, because that's done directly at our base protocol layer, we require users to obtain credentials from IDPs, official identity providers, before transacting, and that in turn obviously then enables various forms of legal compliance for factors like KYC. Our identity layer also supports implementation new rules like the travel rule, where you've got to identify the sender and the receiver. We also have, as you guys know, certain jurisdictions. You have to be of a certain nationality to, transact, or if you are, obviously nowadays, as lots of nationalities are banned from things. we can obviously, enforce restriction of users based on their nationality, based on age. We have a lot of features like that on our blockchain. But I said, but we are, providing the tools to enable this compliance, but it's ultimately up to the businesses themselves how they use it, and in turn how they effectively, integrate those results into their reports and their op models and their systems in order to ensure the compliance. That, in my view, sums up that. Chris, do you have anything to add to that?
That there sometimes is a bit of a misunderstanding, and maybe we phrase things a bit wrong. We say Concordium is regulation compliant, which don't actually mean that we comply with regulation. I mean, obviously we have to, but what we mean by that sentence is we provide the tools so that people building on us can comply with regulation, the ID and all the stuff that Richard explained. So it's really, we provide the tools for others building on us.
Well, I mean, look, I think that covers most of the questions that people sent in. I appreciate we've got 15 people left on the call. So for those of you that have stuck with us all this time, thank you. Okay, 14 people. Sorry, it's something I said. But basically, someone came back, JP, Jean-Pierre, Jean-Philippe, rather. So does anybody in the audience want to come live, either live on mic, live on camera, live on both, and ask any questions? Obviously, an impromptu question that we are unplanned for and hopefully able to answer. Obviously, you have the forum, as I know various of you from Telegram and stuff, and obviously Discord as we're promoting it now. So you guys can reach out at any time with questions. But given that we have the forum here, anybody, General X, to the stage.
Hey guys, hey Richard.
Hey.
Hi, yeah, good day. What's up?
Good day.
Yeah, so I've been listening in, and yeah, I think you guys already answered most of the other questions I had in mind about stable coins and how Concordium is also going to provide real world solutions for real world assets, and of course real life solutions in different industries. I particularly like that you went beyond what normal what other blockchains are doing. Like they're always focused on real estate, but you mentioned maritime and other things, and that just picks up much wider adoption in the long run. But I want to ask about how the whole compliance thing. It's of course making blockchain much more friendly with regulations, and making it much more easier for traditional institutions to incorporate blockchains, and of course proofs and verifications, as well as dealing with some of the fallouts of blockchains. In that sense. So but however, that also goes against the compliance thing. It goes against the core essence of the decentralization, which blockchain is all about. So who gets to decide how much compliance is too compliant for decentralization, and how much decentralization is too decentralized for compliance in the Concordium setting? And what parameters do you guys actually think about when you want to do this? Because I feel this is like a basic thing that anybody who hears about a compliant blockchain or a compliance-centric blockchain, that's a basic thing that comes to their mind. They're like, oh, that's against decentralization. So how do you sort of balance these spectrums from both ends of the spectrum?
It's a really great question, and it's something we've thought about before. Now, not mean to dredge up the history, but as you know, the history of Concordium obviously been going for 6 years. When Lars founded it, his Saxo Bank, he founded it as a blockchain. Effectively, it was ahead of its time. In the time when there are degens wanting to trade on Silk Road and nobody wanting to, have their, anonymity revoked or be discovered. We were ahead of our time. We were a few years ahead of our time. It was the time in the market and crypto and blockchain wasn't ready for it. Due to mistakes of the past, which everyone on this call is aware of, we didn't seize the opportunity then. And as you people know, there are various other chains now which are coming in with, ID focus, compliance focus. We are trying to balance. We basically now where we are the blockchain. We have certain core functionality. One of the core factors when the EMG met, when they first came on, obviously Boris had rearranged basically. The old EMG had left and we now had the new EMG. One of the core factors we had in those offsites and stuff was do we get rid of ID, because it was making it awkward to integrate, we weren't compatible, external wallets find it difficult to get on because we had the base ID layer. Obviously, there's probably of anonymity revocation, which is it's great if you are, intent only doing honest things. But as you said, it's against the concepts of decentralization. I appreciate I'm not answering your question directly because we don't have an answer. This is something that we are the chain we are. We don't completely reinvent ourselves. We're doubling down on some core pieces of functionality, our IDPs, identity, and we are reworking various aspects of those model. We are looking at creating more flexibility in how it works, and there are maybe, shall I say, options for users to onboard to the chain, in the complete way possible. We know with an ID layer and a wallet and the potential of ID revocation. And there's also the concept where you can potentially create smart contract users on the chain through other applications. Obviously, that has a lower degree of compliance, but at the same token, a lower degree of functionality. General X, I'm just going to have to ask you to watch this space. I'm afraid some of these, they're all great questions, but we haven't decided exactly, what we're going to do yet in that regard. Does that answer your question to a degree?
Yeah, to a degree it has, because makes me understand that compliance, especially when of course if you're not being shady, or if you're like really doing legit stuff in the blockchain, compliance doesn't necessarily have to be too much of a huge issue. But at the same time, we just like everything else DeFi related, it's something we actually have to like look out for and see how it plays out, especially as the cryptocurrency space evolves with time. So yeah, I guess that definitely does answer my question. And yeah, thanks again.
Perfect. No, I appreciate it. Thank you. And Jeffrey, it looks like you want to ask a question. Jeffrey?
Good everyone. I'm Jeffrey.
Hey, Jeffrey. Hey, Jeffrey. How are you doing?
I'm good.
Great.
Normally, I'm just the first time. So I just want to ask, what is the future of the programs influence a newcomer like me positively? Because I listening everything, I had everything, I hear every contribution that everybody brings. It's a very good idea, a very good contribution. Now I'm asking, why is it affecting a newcomer like me? Thank you.
Hey, Jeffrey, I'm not sure. I appreciate you saying some things affecting a newcomer like you. I couldn't hear when you said exactly what it is that's affecting you. You could just rephrase if you don't mind, please.
Okay. What I mean is that I am the first timer of this community.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So I was asking, what is this market index affect the newcomer like me? Because I really need to benefit positively, and always I'm eager to contribute my effort to this community to make sure it grow well. So how is it affecting me positively?
Okay. Well, I mean, Jeffrey, that's a great question. And ultimately, this comes down to, essentially, if you look at the other people, a lot of people we've got on the line, people like, Oxford and stuff, this comes down to your belief in the blockchain. My suggestion would be do some research, speak to some people. We've got the community on Discord, we've got the community on Telegram. Speak to people, ask them about it. I mean, historically, we haven't been a great blockchain for people, and that's just calling a spade. But going forward, we believe we've got the management, the team, the communities to support this, and we want a blockchain is only as strong as its community. So I'd encourage you look into this. You can DM me on Telegram if you want, and we can chat. But look into the blockchain, look into what you like about it, look into what you don't like about it, and speak to us about it. But it all comes down to you and what you want out of this, Jeffrey. Really, does that answer your question?
Yeah, I would DM you direct on the Telegram so we can have direct chat.
Perfect. Yeah, that'd be great. You'll see me on the chats on the Concordium community.
All right. Thank you.
Oh, perfect. Thank you. And thank you everybody for your comments. Guys, I'm afraid I've been told we have to wrap this up now. So it is a wrap. This is the first of many, hopefully, with the Three Musketeers. We'll go forth and conquer and be back and stuff. I've got nothing. Actually, I can tell you my SQL joke because I guess some technical people. So let's finish with the SQL joke. So SQL query walks into a bar, or walks up to two tables and says, "And if I join you?" Is any no, okay, not a lot of thumbs up or laughter, but anyway, that's my favorite joke. I enjoy it. Thank you everybody. I said thank you for your questions. Feel free to DM me on Discord. I'm not entirely sure how Discord works. I'm still learning, but on Telegram. And as you know, Sarah and Alvaro say, that's it. I'll leave it with Chris and stand-up comedian to finish off the meeting. Chris.
Yes. Thank you everyone for joining. It was fun, and happy to do it again anytime.
Thank you everyone. Bye bye.